What's going on, guys? So in this video, I felt like, because this is what I've been spending a lot of time with recently, that we would sit here and have a discussion on which is the better of these two new release Iris fragrances from this year. They're both powder bombs. So those of you that don't like very powdery fragrances, you probably won't like these. But if you're the type that likes a good Iris fragrance, then you might be curious if you're just going to get one. Should you get Narciso Rodriguez Bleu Noir Parfum, or should you get Armani Code Parfum? I have decant right here. We will discuss. Stay tuned. So first and foremost, this decant was provided by My Luxury Scent. I know somebody's going to ask where I got it from. MyLuxuryScent.com. Did a full review on this one recently, and it does have that tonka bean absolute that the DNA is known for. It basically smells like the eau de parfum plus iris, which typically, for the most part, when the tonka bean's on the heavier side in the Armani Code line, it's a very sweet and powdery fragrance. Mix that with the designer level iris note, which is already a very powdery note. You get somewhat of a sweet and powdery bomb here. A little touch of soapy, but more overall creamy and powdery. Very sweet. A lovely fragrance, don't get me wrong. Many people's favorite in the line. Then on the other hand, you have a little bit more complexity here with Bleu Noir Parfum. So it's on that similar powdery, waxy type of level, more Dior Homme than Givenchy Gentleman or Prada L'Homme. It's not quite all of that soapy, but it's definitely a little bit lipsticky. But the biggest difference here is you're going to get a little bit of fresh spice at the top, and then it dries into this leather suede combination. It's kind of a fuzzy suede note. What do I mean by fuzzy suede? Like it has almost this bright musky tone to the leathery facet as it starts to dry down. It's kind of a three-phase fragrance. It does change. It actually changes a little bit more than Armani Code Parfum overall. But since we're talking about the scent category here, I think I have to give it to Bleu Noir Parfum hands down because of that complexity. It's not as straightforward and linear as I find Armani Code Parfum to be. This is overall a more simplistic design. What do I mean by that? Like, it doesn't change much. It's not that deep of a fragrance. Just about what you get when you first spray it. It's going to be what you get most of the life of the fragrance. Obviously, some of the freshness tones down and more of the sweetness comes in as it dries, but the overall powdery, sweet, floral nature of this fragrance stays true from start to finish in this fragrance. Whereas you start off powdery and but fresh, spicy, powdery, and floral. Then it starts to dry into powdery, floral, leathery, and musky. So there's a little bit more of a change, while still not the deepest and most complex of fragrances. This overall smells a little bit better quality to me personally. Has a bit more depth to it, and it's just more interesting overall. Now, in regards to performance, Bleu Noir Parfum is a very loud fragrance. I actually had a friend recently, some of you may have seen the video, that when I got in the car, choked him out, had to roll the window down from 5 sprays of this fragrance. Granted, it was in a mid-size sedan. It's a pretty confined area, about 30 minutes to an hour after I sprayed it, so it had a little time to calm down and settle, but it was still around its strongest part of the life of the fragrance. So it's no slouch. Longevity is on the very good side for me. This is one that kind of falls in that 6 to 8 hour range, which is kind of the sweet spot for me. It's right in my wheelhouse. But the sillage is slightly on the weaker side. I do get light whiffs of it the remaining life of the fragrance once that projection calms down, but I would by no means call this any sort of beast after about an hour and a half. Whereas, if you're looking for a beast, Armani Code Parfum seems to be that for me. It's pretty loud. It's pretty damn loud in the first 2 hours, and this is one that you can expect easily 8 to 10 hours on my skin, more so in that 10-hour range. And the sillage is much more consistent with this one on the moderate to mild side. So it's not a huge change. It does weaken, obviously, as the projection calms down, but the sillage on this is still pretty strong. You're going to leave a decent trail. People will smell you pretty easily with this one. This is much more of an attention grabber. While I find it to be less of an interesting scent profile than Bleu Noir Parfum, this is definitely going to grab more people because it's overall stronger. So if you're looking for the better performer, Armani Code Parfum is the one. Overall versatility between the two, I think they kind of they lack some versatility. Both of them. I would wear both of them in similar situations. When you're in the mood for sweet and powdery, a little bit more upscale, a little bit dressier than maybe I'm dressed right now with, you know, New Orleans Saints gear, hoodie and flat bill hat, for example. You can wear these. I've been wearing these casually like this, but they do seem to, the scent profiles seem to be suited for a slightly dressier occasion, more semi-casual on up. And I do believe this to be about as casual as this, where not the best options. So they're kind of what and what, really. Honestly, neither one gets the nod over the other, because I can't think of a situation where I would wear this, that I wouldn't wear this, and vice versa. So in my humble opinion, between the two, being an iris fragrance lover, which one just does it for me? Because they both have their merits. One, to me, smells better than the other for certain reasons. The other performs better than the one that smells better to me, and they're both good for the same thing overall if you're being more situational with your fragrances, like I am, whether it be situation overall or season, for example. But when it comes down to it, scent's the most important thing to me. So Bleu Noir Parfum from Narciso Rodriguez, I think, is the superior fragrance because it's not a huge drop-off in performance. This is still a very good performer. Definitely nothing I would classify as a beast. I would put this in the beastly category for sure. If performance is that much more important to you, this is a sweeter fragrance, so you have to take that into consideration. And it's a bit more powdery. They're both very powdery. This one's slightly more, so you have to take that into consideration. But if you have similar taste to mine, you relate to my taste in fragrances, this is the one you should get a decant of. Try Narciso Rodriguez for him, Bleu Noir Parfum. I do think it's the superior of these designer iris releases from 2022. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings between Armani Code Parfum and Bleu Noir Parfum, both Parfum flankers. Two popular designer fragrances released here in 2022. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. Which of these two do you prefer? Do you have both? Have you tried both? Do you agree with me based on what I've said here today, if you haven't tried these, that this maybe sounds like something you might be a bit more interested in? I definitely encourage you to try both. Make that decision for yourself. Just because I picked this one doesn't mean you will. You may like this more. It surprised a lot of people in my review that I actually chose the Eau de Parfum over this one, which doesn't have iris. In some ways is a neutered version of this because it loses the iris, but still similar smell overall. But I digress. It's definitely something you should test out for yourself. But like I said, if you value my opinion in any way, try both, but I think this is superior. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on either one and you give them a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.